Hey, YouTube fam. This is Hangout while I work. So go ahead and ask me anything. This is going to be probably going on for an hour or two. A little bit busy today with work, doing some IT stuff. But I just thought it was a good idea to kind of jump on live and kind of have this rolling a little bit while I'm working and busy. And you can go in and out, ask me questions, whatever. I might talk about random stuff. I mean, once in a while, I might be some dead space in there, but this isn't really a live training. Just if you want to jump on, ask me some questions, communicate, whatever you want to do, feel free to do so. Then I'm kind of going to be doing my own thing, be in my own little world. You never know, I might forget I'm going live, do some stupid things, but anyway, we'll have some fun with this and get going. And I think with the comments, I can't. I was going to recommend a video through the comments, but it won't let me do that for some reason. But I'll post a comment without the YouTube link. Unless it's I know what it's doing. I can't comment too long. So let's break this baby up. That way everybody kind of knows. I'm on my desktop, by the way. I'm sure you can tell. That way I do like the desktop way better than the phone, just because you kind of know what I'm doing. I got everything filled out. I got the thumbnail going, and you're not kind of coming onto this blind type of thing. So let me see if I can recommend this video. I just had a video go live or public maybe a couple hours ago. It's on breaking generational curses. It's a meditation, and so it's a loop meditation. It goes on for an hour. But just like if generational curses, generational things, generational habits that we have. Everything that we do, you have to understand this. Everything that we do is really stem from our childhood, stem through, when we're like 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, we're observing at that point. So either it's coming from our parents, it's a mixture coming from our parents, our siblings, aunts and uncles who were around. A lot of us are in really like daycare and preschool by the age of 3. So everybody we're hanging around being that young is very influential in our life at that time. But okay, I got the link there, so you can check that out. And so I'm just going to kind of get things going. Go ahead and feel free, shoot out a comment. I know it's late in the United States. I am in Thailand, so my other videos, I kind of been basically. I've been wanting to go live, but what stops me from going live is I'm in Thailand, the time change, and I can't I can't let that stop me. I just have to go live when I want to go live. If people jump on. If you're sleeping, you can watch the replay if you like. But I can't let that stop me. Does that make sense? So even if one person jumps on and chats, hey, I'm fine with that. I don't need, hundreds of comments, even if I'm chatting with one person, you're helping that one person in their life at that time. But just kind of let you know where I'm coming from and stuff like that. And everything is set up. So I just got to set up my workstation, going, get my MacBook and position stuff. So I'm gonna work off my Mac. Hey Rick, what's up, man? Well, I'm in Thailand, Rick, so that's why I'm working so late, because right now in Thailand, it's almost 11 a.m. in Thailand. So I live in Thailand, so I go back and forth. Sometimes I come to Thailand for 8, 9, 10 months, sometimes a year. Then I go back to the States for a few months and visit family. So that's why it appears like I'm working late, but I'm really not. But that's a great question, because a lot of, even a lot of, I mean, you see a lot of wealthy people, and lots of times they're my age, but they look like they're 15 years older than me, just because they're getting 4 hours of sleep every night. And so I do agree with you. It's not healthy. Uh, Thailand. How did I get enough money to retire to Thailand? Um, that's a great question. I think it's, we all kind of have a fear barrier, like what we're scared to do, not scared to do. If you want to live life on your terms, you have to bust through that fear barrier. Uh, and I think with Thailand, it wasn't really a fear. I back in 2021, I've always wanted to. I've always traveled abroad, so that's something you have to understand. But I always wanted to do long stays. So Thailand wasn't even on my radar in 2021, because in 2021 that was post pandemic, and I was going to go to another country, but Thailand was the only country open at that time for international travel. So that's how I chose Thailand. And when I came to Thailand, I kind of liked it. So I've been going back and forth between Thailand and United States for, since 2021. About the money thing, I work online. So, that kind of opens up a lot of doors when you're working online. And yeah. Uh, yeah, that's all I got to say. I mean, it's either like being smart with money, but most of the time, working online, still building a brand online. I work in IT, I do a lot of SEO, stuff like that. Yeah, what do I do online? Now I used to work with different companies. Now I only work on my personal stuff. Now YouTube's thrown into there, but my YouTube brand is still kind of new. Uh, so so basically, I think like maybe 10 years ago, maybe in 2015, 2016, I like all my stuff. I was bigger back in 2015, 2016. Like all my stuff was like I had ranked on the first page of Google. Like if you Google my name, it was like all over the place. Now it's pretty much nowhere to be found. Because what happened was when I wanted to take a job with a company or work with an agency, I would, all my personal stuff I would work on would kind of get pushed to the side and get neglected or severely neglected. So now the last couple of years I kind of been coming around. I'm not working for somebody else too much anymore, and I'm just working on my own personal stuff. So I mean, I do have websites that are outside of the wealth, health, and prosperity kind of perspective, that I manage, that kind of do fairly well as far as passive income. And so so yeah. Yeah, kind of an IT guy. The only reason I say IT is because, like, when you're building your own brand, when you're building your own company, what happens is in the beginning, you really don't have the money to hire anybody. You really don't have the money to to hire someone to build your website, because they want too much money. You know what I mean? You don't have the resources to pay. So you basically, you kind of get thrown into it, and you either sink or you swim. So you either learn how to do it or you don't. So I mean, as a kid, I used to be a gamer, really into games and stuff like that. I was very kind of IT-ish back then. So I kind of just taught myself over the years. So, and sometimes I take a job, sometimes I don't. And so yeah. So yeah, sometimes when I say IT, it's just kind of like a big, kind of a, I mean, there's a lot more to it, because a lot of people don't know that I pretty much own, I own my domains and own different domains that people don't know about, and I manage those domains that do fairly well. So I do all the SEO for my own personal domains and stuff like that, or personal companies. Um, and that's really why I don't really work for an agency or stuff like that anymore. I mean, it's kind of going down a rabbit hole, Uh, I don't know if you're still there, or maybe you went to sleep. but like, I mean, like, okay, if you heard of Alex Hamosi, and he's like super popular on, I mean, all over the place now. But I think he pays like 200,000 a month for like marketing, his marketing team and agency and stuff like that. So that's really why he's all over, because you're paying someone great money to do that stuff. Back in the day when I used to work for agencies, I mean, most agencies, I don't want to say they're a scam, um, but you have to look at it this way. Like, a lot of like small agencies, they still have 50 clients, 80 clients a month. They have a very lean staff. Maybe there only is 5 staff there. So you got 5 staff managing 80 people, and you got SEO services in there. And SEO is, I mean, it's a full-time job. I mean, a huge company could hire me to do their SEO, and I'm doing their SEO 8 hours, 10 hours a day, 40 hours a week. And that's why I only do you never stop. Um, so, a lot of these agencies that charge $500 a month, $1,000 a month, even $2,000 a month, I mean, I wouldn't hire them. And that should tell you something. I would not hire an agency to manage my stuff. Just because I know that I used to work for agencies. I know what they do. Unless you're paying them great money. You're paying them 30,000 a month. They're working for you. They're busting their ass for you. You're paying them $500. They're pretty much doing nothing for you. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. Working off a website domain that I manage, but it's actually one of my domains. So I kind of build it up over, I think it's been running for like 6 or 7 years. And so doing a major update right now with it. So it's taken up a lot of my time. Mm. So actually talk about IT and SEO. I mean, that's pretty much what I'm doing today, is kind of SEO stuff like images, doing compressing, uploading, uh, even like with YouTube. I mean, that's so I've made a couple videos on YouTube about SEO or building your channel. Of course, it's kind of hard for me because my channel is relatively small. So, of course, people look at it like I don't have no credibility. Uh, but I really do have credibility because I've done it for a long time, but I've worked with other companies on it. And I've seen even huge brands, how they go viral. And, oh, hang on, Rhythm. I'm just going to, let me see, what would you say? When you are manifesting, how do you overcome the feeling of becoming another person? What do you mean by that, actually? Can you expand on that question? Let me scroll down and see if you answered. Yeah, you haven't answered yet. No, I'm doing it live. I mean, you can go in here, but if you go here, I'll see you. I'll see you from the angle. Mm. If you go right there, I'll see you.
Hello.
Oh, I'll be here for a while. No, I'll see you on camera. No, Aang just took a shower, so she's in her robe. So I'm like talking to her, but this is a wide cam. This is a wide angle. Uh, so maybe we'll have to like do maybe have to take a pause and put like a blanket over the camera for a second. Okay, I'm back with him here. Let me see what your question is. Okay, when you're creating something in your life, you feel change. It is a it is weird to heal. Okay, when you're manifesting, how do you overcome the feeling of becoming another person? Now, do you mean like when I'm manifesting, like because lots of times there's two versions of us, okay? Like lots of times when people explain it where we have a successful version of us really in our imagination, like who we have to become, like we have to meet that vibrational level of that successful version. And there's an old version of us, and usually that old version is the current version of us. So I don't know if this is what you mean, like when you're manifesting, like how do you become that new version of you, to kind of get on that same level. Like if you want to manifest your dream car, your dream house, your dream career, your dream salary. I don't know if that's the way you're kind of angling this. um, you can clarify if I'm kind of on the right track here. um, but kind of what happens is lots of times you ever hear the saying of, you know, we're making the same decisions, but we are expecting a different result. But that's because those same decisions is coming from our old identity. It's coming from our current identity. There's a higher identity we come from. There's a higher version of ourselves. There's a higher consciousness of ourselves. So put it this way, like if you already have your dream house, you already are living life on your terms. You already are okay, I got your answer. Uh, you're already have what you want. You're gonna make at that level. What's happening is you're gonna carry yourself different. You're gonna make different decisions. Uh, you're gonna be more like usually a more successful version of ourselves. You're more decisive. You know exactly what you want. You don't play games with yourself. It's either a yes or a no. And and that's a more successful version of you. So that's the person you got to become. So like even like with Neville Goddard, a lot of people get confused with Neville Goddard, like living in the end, how to live in the end, act as if, how to do it. But what he what he really means is you got to become that person now, today. You already in the grand scheme of things in your 4D world, you already have what you want. It's already yours. Okay, you just don't see it in your 3D world, but it's already yours. It's already happening to you. But how we speed it up is kind of what your question is we and this is tricky for most people. It takes a little bit of time. It's not just a 1 day ordeal. It's you have to determine if you have your dream house. Well, how would I carry my if I already have it? How would I carry myself? What would I be doing? What would be my stereotypical day? What type of people would I hang around? Would I have different friends? You know what I mean? Would I have a different career? Would I be making different decisions? You know, and that's what you got to do now, today. Okay. And that's what gets uncomfortable for people. And that's what gets confusing for people because it's hard for people to think like, okay, like I don't know how I would be if I was wealthy. But like if you do the Navigalo technique and when you go to sleep at night, some people overcomplicate this. It's pretty much what you're thinking right before you go to sleep. Okay. Sometimes Neville Goddard would use you go inside your imagination, and you have this imaginal scene like you want your dream car. And but what I find is this is kind of high stuff. This is kind of confusing. It's not confusing, but it's kind of out there a little bit. Even when I do this, when I go to bed at night, I find that that's a more successful version of me than if you start paying attention to that inside your imagination, you will find the more successful version of you is making better decisions, quicker decisions. They know exactly what they want. They have standards and boundaries for their life. They got frame in their life. Um, and and even for myself, that's what I'm going through right now is, having stronger standards and boundaries and frame in my life. Because the millionaire you are going to have standards and boundaries. But the trick is, the hardest thing is what you asked is, you got to be that person now today. Okay, it's all about belief. It's all about your identity. Um, we can call it manifesting, or we can call it law of belief. What you believe to be true is true for you right now. Okay, what I believe to be true for me is true for me. So that's your identity. That's what you say is going to happen, has to happen to you. Now it could happen tomorrow, it could happen 3 days from now, it could happen next month. But what you say in your life has, you have to understand this, it has to occur, it has to happen. You planted that seed. And and manifesting is just, the techniques are just helping you get there, the kind of, with affirmations, robotic affirmations. But it really just comes down to what you believe. It really comes down to, you can change your identity right now. You can change your core belief right now. Then you build up affirmations around it. You have a bedtime routine, what you're thinking about before you go to bed, because what you think about right before your bed influences your subconscious mind. And I'm kind of throwing up on you right now, I'm sorry, with information. But hopefully I answered that. But it's, but I know that this is a really tricky question. And people struggle with this because, um, you know, it also comes down to the question of, are you being authentic? Are you being really you? And sometimes I did a video on this. I don't know if it's live, but sometimes I schedule them out on being authentic. And I had a question myself I started thinking about it the other day, where, why do authentic people, when you're authentic, you're just you're carefree, you don't care about what other people think. Why do those people seem to have more success in their lives? Everything just seems to be in their favor. If you talk about manifesting, they manifest with ease. Why is that? Because they're authentic. They don't care. They let go. They don't care what other people think. They're carefree. They're not attached to things. With us, we get so attached. And especially we get attached because we really want it. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Like you kind of said it in a different way, but that's kind of what I mean. But I'll read it, but just in case other people listening. Um, Now it seems like, from what you're saying, I have to overcome a false belief of self to get to another self. I have to be me, unafraid. Yes, exactly. You have to be, you have to live life on your terms, unapologetically. You have to be unapologetically you. Okay. You don't have to apologize for you being you. And I think this is something I struggle with. That's why sometimes I do videos on it. Um, and this what holds people back. Because, like, you grow up, you're taught to be a certain way. You go to school, you're taught to be a certain way. You have a job, of course, you're taught to be a certain way, or professional or politically correct. And people get lost in that. People, like, they they almost, they lose their self, where they feel like, I'm not being myself. You're not being your true you, because you're afraid of being judged. Uh, and you kind of have to break that barrier. You kind of have to kind of step out a little bit and not apologize for who you are. Now, some people, I mean, you want to go all in. With you want manifesting to work in your life. You want to live life on your terms. You have to go all in. It's like you go to the swimming pool. And there's a big pool. You got the baby pool. You got the shallow end. You got the deep pool where the diving boards are. It's almost like you being all in. You go to the pool. You're running straight to the diving boards. You climb up the high dive. And you're running across the high dive, and you're doing a cannonball into the deep end of the pool. I mean, once you jump off that pool, You can't turn. There's no turning back. You can't turn around once you jump off the diving board. You know what I mean? You're going to hit the water. You're in the deep end. So even if you don't know how to swim, you're learning how to swim on the way up. Uh, this is manifesting. This is manifesting 101. This is your identity. This is law of belief, no matter what you want to call it. You have to be all in. What most people do is they're hanging out at the baby pool. They have their big toe sticking into the pool. You know what I mean? They're not all in, because all in is scary. This is what people aren't telling you. Sometimes it's scary. You want your life of your dreams, but what people don't tell you, this is your fear barrier. This is what scares you. Okay. We all have different things that scare us. What scares me might not scare you, but what scares you might not scare me. You know, we all have that fear barrier, but what you want is on the other side of fear. You have to bust through that fear. Uh, even, I mean, for a great example is even for me going live. I was kind of scared to go live, to be honest with you. It's kind of out of my comfort zone, but even though I knew I needed to go live, makes sense, on YouTube. You know, a small voice with like that small intuition is pushing me like, no, you need to go live. You need to go live. You need to start doing things live. And, you know, I was a little bit nervous and scared. It was a little out of my comfort zone a little bit. But, you know, I didn't let fear stop me. I still kind of just moved forward, took one step at a time and moved forward and talked myself into it. Um, so, yeah. So, I mean, to me, with your question, it's just being authentic. Don't apologize for who you are. If you're a type of person that swears and say cuss words, then you swear and say cuss words. If people don't want to hang out with you because you say the F word, then you don't have to apologize for it. You're being you. They have to accept you. And that's what we all should be doing. You should accept me for who I am, and I should accept you for being who you are. And, you know, because if we don't accept, I'm really going down the route, I'm giving you so much here. If we really don't accept each other, okay, that goes into, I'll read your comment here in a second to get this thought out. I'm gonna have a brain fart. But when we start judging another person, no matter what we want to call it, we judge, we don't forgive. What we have to understand, the laws of the universe, it anchors us to them. It anchors us to this unforgiveness. It anchors us to this judgment. It actually lowers our consciousness. And your dream car, for example, is up on a higher consciousness. Now I'm judging people. You know, I'm not forgiving people. I'm making fun of people directly or indirectly, you know, and it lowers our consciousness and it keeps us farther away from what we want. And the only way we break this cycle is we truly have to forgive and let go. We truly have to be authentic and be ourselves and unapologetically live life on our terms. It's me. I'm not going to apologize for it. That's the way all of us have to become. But it's scary at the same time. Let me read your comment here. Okay, that's me. That's me new saying what I want is on the other side of fear. Feel the fear and do it. Yeah, exactly. You feel the fear, but you do it anyways. I'll give you an example, and I don't talk a lot about this. Is I used to when I lived in California, Los Angeles, I worked in the entertainment industry. I worked in the entertainment industry for like 15 years. Now I've worked in the entertainment industry in all facets. Not all facets. I worked on the crew a little bit, but mainly as an actor. I worked on the casting side. I did everything. I worked as an extra in TV shows and movies and commercials. I've been a principal actor in commercials. I've been a day player co-star, where you have like, you know, you have one line or where you say one word or something like that. Um, and when you hang around, plus I lived in a good area of Los Angeles, but when you hang around celebrities, you're around celebrities. What you start finding is when they go to an audition, a lot of them are scared shitless. They still get nervous, but they do it anyways. And that's what you start learning is a lot of us, we get scared and it stops us in our tracks like a deer in headlights. I don't know what country you're living in. Like you're driving down the road and it's pitch black outside and a deer crosses the road and it sees your headlights and it basically just it just it just stops and stares at the headlights, but you're blinding it. That's what fear does to us. And when we get in such a habit of letting fear stop us, that we don't push through it. And we want to think that all these successful people, these celebrities, or whoever, these athletes, we think that they don't have fear, but they do. But they've learned to push through it. They learn to kind of move forward even though they're scared. And that's kind of the main thing, like one of the main things I learned in working in entertainment. Because when I'm on set, I'm hanging around the celebrities that's working in that TV show, working in that movie, working on that commercial. Sometimes you talk to them if it makes sense to and common sense to. Uh, I mean, I lived in Culver City at the time. My stepson went to where did he go to school now? Haven't I? I'm thinking he went to Brentwood private school where celebrities went. I mean, I don't want to say the celebrities, the kids that go there, just because it's just private information for them. But and plus he went to UCLA lab school. So he's going to school with celebrity kids, and lots of times the celebrities are coming to his birthday parties. So when you hang out with them, you kind of tend to find out they're just like you. They're nothing special. Yes, you could say they're more successful. Yes, you can say they make a ton more money. But when it comes down to it, they have fears just like you do. But the only thing they've learned is to manage that fear, not let fear stop them. And, most of us, I'm guilty of this too. We let fear stop us. And that's what stops us from our life, what we truly want. That's why I say live life on your terms, because we want different things. Having a dream house might not resonate with you. Having a dream car might not resonate with you. Being a millionaire might not resonate with you. What might resonate with you might be you want to take care of your family. You want to make sure your family's set up. You want to make sure your family's not struggling. You might want to give to charities or things you really involved in. That might resonate with you, but it doesn't matter, because as long as you're doing what you want to do, you're successful. That's what living life on your terms mean. But thanks for commenting. I mean, that's why I can throw up this information on you a little bit. If it's confusing, let me know. Uh, um, then I can kind of explain. But I'm kind of an open book, like what I'm struggling with, and sometimes I say this in my videos. And no matter if it makes me look like I don't know what I'm talking about or he's struggling with something, but we're all human. We all have our own gunk that we're working through. We're all always trying to get to a new level. That's abundance. Abundance is infinite. Okay. No matter you get to where you think you want to go, but once you get there, you're going to want to achieve for something else and go higher and higher and higher. The reason why it's like that's just natural laws of the universe. That's just natural laws of abundance. Thomas Troward said it best. What's the quote from Thomas Troward I love? Is our mind is a center of divine operation. Divine operation means expansion into more. Your mind always, it's the law of growth. Your mind always wants you to improve and grow. Okay, there's never going to be a stopping point. This is where we get this saying, either you're growing or dying, either you're moving forwards or backwards. And it's so true. Energy is not stagnant. And the best example of this is like if you used to, like for me, I used to be in really awesome shape because I was a professional athlete. And if you stop working out, well, what happens? We all know is you gradually get out of shape. But the same thing happens in our life with energy. Is if we're not constantly working on ourselves or personal development, we're going to go backwards. And how we go backwards into that old identity, that old self. It's so easy to go backwards. That's why when you're all in, you just jump into that deep end of the pool, baby. Exactly. There is no growth without fear. You have fear, you feel the fear, but you don't let the fear stop you. You just keep on moving forward anyway. And And then after a while, you're still going to have fear because you're going to play a bigger game. It's always going to open a door, but you get better and better and better at managing it. You don't let it totally stop you. You get used to it. You get used to having those little knots in your stomach. Maybe you feel like you're going to throw up, but you still push forward and that feeling goes away. Um, Going back to my acting example, when I used to go to auditions, you know, I I would I would like I would have fear. I would be nervous. And I was more comfortable working on set than I was auditioning. It's two totally different, it's two totally different skill sets. Let me tell you. An audition is like you just walking in here, you got three people staring at you. You're not on set, you're not on, you don't have the atmosphere to pull from. If you're doing dialogue in an audition, they're just monotone, just reading the words. You have nothing to play on. And but what I found is that even though I was super nervous, I felt like I was going to throw up. I got knots in my stomach. It feels like I'm internally sweating. Okay. When they played back the footage, so maybe I could watch it, or maybe they uploaded it somewhere where you can watch it. If you're an actor, you know what I'm talking about. Um, Now, to me, I would feel like, oh my God, I had to look so nervous. I had to look horrible. But when I saw my audition, I was like, huh, dude, I actually looked pretty good. I didn't look nervous at all, even though I felt like I was nervous, even though I felt like I was on a flipping pass out. But I looked normal. And that gives you more confidence because that gives you like, oh, even though I felt scared, I didn't look it. And and so you get a little bit more confident the more you do stuff. That's why it's so good to kind of do things you're scared to do, because you don't always want to run back to that comfort zone. And again, your comfort zone is your old identity, your old self, your old bad habits, your old bad decisions you make, and we all do it. And we all have we all have like we're making the same decision. It's like the law of karma. We're making the same decisions, but we're expecting something else, but the same thing keeps on occurring because we keep on making the same old decision, but just in a different way a little bit. And with no growth without fear, again, we're always going to grow. We're always growing. We're always expanding. That's just the natural laws of the universe. We're always going to expand. We're always going to want more. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what we have to come to terms with. There's nothing wrong with wanting more. There's nothing wrong with wanting the best life for you. There's nothing wrong with it because abundance is infinite. If you really believe abundance is all around you, if you really believe abundance is infinite, then it's not going to bother you. It's just knowing this information and repeating it over and over and over and over and over to yourself until you believe it, until your subconscious mind accepts it as fact. And once it accepts it as fact, it's going to start making things happen for you in your life. Yes, exactly. I mean, you said you're starting a newsletter for writers, and I feel fear. You just need to do it. Bottom line, like, don't let fear stop you. You're going to be nervous, and if I read this, my opinion really fast is it's not a bad opinion. I think you should do it. But I think the reason you feel fear because you you deep down you feel criticism. You feel like you're going to be judged, or people's going to judge you, or people are going to judge you on your writing. People's going to judge you on your grammar. Maybe you didn't say something right, or maybe they might not like it, and that's going to be a self reflection of you. That's kind of where fear comes from. Fear comes from the outside. But if you're really truly authentic and you just focus on you, you don't focus on anybody else. You just focus on you and what you want to do. That's where your power is. Is focus on present moment. You only focus on you. You're not focused on all the noise around you. And the noise is people's opinions. People's like, oh, you should take a writing class. You know what I mean? I've had people say that to me like way back in the day when I started doing trainings and videos. I would have so many comments like, oh, you need to go take a speech class. You need to go learn how to, do all this stuff before you just jump on and just start doing this. And the thing is that if you listen to those people, you listen to the naysayers, that they don't know what they're talking about. Bottom line. And and uh, and the best advice for you in that situation is just do it, because you'll learn along the way. You'll get better. You'll learn about what people want, what they want to hear, and you base focus on the good comments, and focus on, even if it's just one person, you focus on that one person, and who cares what everybody else thinks. That you have to put yourself in that position, and it's going to come with a territory. Like when I jump on YouTube, and as my YouTube channel grows and gets, the trolls are going to come out and say stuff, and they slowly are coming out for me, but it's that's just outside noise. Who cares? And this is what I tell myself, and this will probably help you, is is really quick, and with the newsletter, is when people comment negative comments to you, listen to this. Nobody more successful than you are going to comment a negative comment to you and try to hold you back. That's what you got to tell yourself. And it's true. Nobody that makes more money than you are going to jump on and start doing negative comments about, oh, you should quit, or you need help, or you need to do this. And nobody. It's always somebody beneath you that is making a comment. I mean, sometimes for me that helps me. Is like they're beneath me. Now I know that might sound mean, but it's true. Yeah, you need to write that down. As I'll say it one more time, is you need to, when someone makes a negative comment, is successful people more successful than you, they're making more money than you, they're not going to put you down. They're not going to write a negative comment. Period. They're going to encourage you. Someone more successful than you is going to encourage you to keep going and keep doing it, because even if you're doing something different from them, they've been at your level. They've been new at some point. They sucked at some point. So they're not going to point it out in you. It's only people beneath you that are going to do it. But in the real world, lots of times we let the people beneath us dictate what we're doing, then we stop. Don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna download this file really quick. That way I was compressing images, then the upload to the site so it doesn't take up so much space. Then, but lots of times everything I'm talking about is things I've struggled with, or things I had to overcome. And some of the things I'm still overcoming. Some of the things I still, you still, a lot of people have dogma about affirmations, robotic affirmations, no matter what you want to call it, no matter if you want to call it like a manifesto. It's something you say to yourself. If you're worried about finances, you might say, oh, the Lord supplies all my needs. Every time I spend money, money comes back to me double. If someone rips you off, and that just happened to me a few weeks ago in Thailand, if someone rips you off, I don't care, because when I get ripped off, I'm repaid by 7 times. So this is the stuff that we do, like robotically. If business is slow, besides me focusing on business is slow, I might say my business is booming. Everybody wants to work with me. Like one of the things I used to do, and I still do it, but I've done it so much now, I just do it subconsciously. And I did this in grocery stores, because when I grew up, I never liked to spend money at all. I've always been that way, just as long back I can remember. And it's probably came from, maybe I heard my parents arguing about money or something like that. It had to come from somewhere. But anyway, long story short, I get kind of nervous when I spend money, just nerves, and I don't like it. So I did, several years ago, I developed this affirmation, and I did it when I went to a grocery store because a grocery store was really strong for me because in a grocery store, when you do an affirmation, you put a piece of it that's true, so that way there's no internal conflict. That way your mind don't say, well, no, that's not right. That's totally false. You know what I mean? But in a grocery store, you can afford anything in a grocery store. You might not buy everything in a grocery store, but anything you want, you can afford in a grocery store. The prices are reasonable enough that you can buy anything you want. So when I would walk around the grocery store, I would constantly repeat this to myself. And I would say, oh, I can buy anything I want in here. And I would walk around, I can buy anything I want in here. No matter what I want, I can buy it. I can buy anything I want in here. And it was an affirmation I was doing. Plus it was true. There's a true aspect to it because and deep down, I can buy anything I want in here because I'm in a grocery store. I'm not in a high-end store. I'm not buying a car. I'm not in a high-end mall where it becomes untrue. I did it in a grocery store. And I've had really unique experiences with this where once I got in a super habit of doing this, I, Aang and I, it probably been like 3 months ago now, we were in Hua Hin in Thailand at one of the luxury malls in Hua Hin, and they had a luxury car show there. So they had like McLarens, Lamborghinis, Porsches, really high-end cars. I mean, at least minimum would be 200,000 and up, 250 and up, something like that. And I caught myself when I was just walking around taking pictures. I just naturally did. I wasn't even thinking about it. I was walking around saying, I can buy this. I can buy anything I want here. You know what I mean? Because I did it so much my subconscious mind just took it as true, took it as fact. But I started where it was really true. I started in a grocery store. Um, but that's just something like something to add there. Uh, okay, let me download this, get this rolling. I'm probably going to make mistakes. 5.7. I think this is new. Keep both. Let me delete this. And how long we've been going? It's like 45 minutes. I really want to run this for a while, but I think Anne keeps on peeking her head in here. She took a shower. She wants to get dressed. This is the mirror over here where she puts her makeup on and stuff like that. Uh, um, so, wanted to keep this going a little bit while I work. So I won't check out. I'll leave. I'll go check on her and I'll come back. Hey, no problem. No problem, Rhythm. Thank you for commenting. And if you have any questions, you can feel free to ask. I'm gonna go check on Aang. I'm not gonna shut it down, but just to see. Sometimes she wants to come in and do her makeup, like right here, and then the mirror right there. And because we moved up the Seren, so I moved out of my condo in Hua Hin. We moved to the Seren. This is her house, and then I stuck the computers in the room here, just up in Seren. I don't want to scare people, but up in Seren, sometimes you get around the Thai villages and stuff like that. The house is pretty big, but I wanted to put the computers on the other side of this wall, like kind of in the living room, but they were just kind of afraid that maybe people would come in and take it or come in and play, when you're not really watching. So I kind of stuck the computers in the bedroom just as safety a little bit, just to kind of bring down the temptation of people doing something they shouldn't do. But let me check on her, see if she wants to come in, and I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. Then Aang is behind me on camera putting her makeup on. So she kept on peeking in here. So I thought I'd go get something to drink because I was talking a lot. Then it's time to kind of check my work, make sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna upload these to the website. And I might stay on for a little while. Right now it's been like 50 minutes, and the first 50 minutes actually been crazy busy. What's this called again? Oh, sugar cane. Yeah, I'm drinking sugar cane. So, but this is like fresh squeezed sugar cane. We would get this in Waihan, but since we're in Surin, like just right down the road, they do fresh squeeze right down the road. So I buy it right down the road. This is one of the things that's probably the top thing I love about Thailand is the food. It's not so much Thai food. Let me clarify. Is Thai food is really spicy, so you have to get used to the spice. But what I mean by the food is Thailand, the Philippines, like Vietnam, like a lot of Asia. I mean, they still, especially Thailand, they still kind of have heirloom foods. What I mean by that is food they're not genetically modified like they are in the States and Europe and stuff like that. I'm not going to go on into the whole organic stuff in this video, just to keep it appropriate. But like with that stuff, I know what I'm talking about. Just because my brother-in-law is a farmer, it's a generational farm, been in his family for like 4 generations, something like that, and maybe more. And so you know, I know a lot about farming, way more than I should know. But with Thailand, it's just you can still get heirloom foods. You still like if up here Aang wants papaya salad. She lots of times she goes outside and picks the papaya from a tree. You know what I mean? That's how fresh it is. You're just picking it from the tree and eating it. Um, so now they still have like if you shop in a grocery store like Macro, Big C, stuff like that, and it gets a little bit not as fresh, just because when you shop at a big chain like that, they're going to do things to the food or soak it or spray it, stuff like that, for make it be fresh longer. But Thailand is still like when you shop at a street market. Like when I say street market, that's where you buy all your veggies and fruits. But a street market, you're buying from people. They're selling it from their land. That's just what grows on their land, and that's what they're selling. So you can actually eat a super crazy healthy here if you want to. You don't have to, because you can eat out every day. But you can eat crazy healthy here. How did I end up in Thailand? That's a great question. Um, Back in 2021 was the kind of the near the end of the pandemic. I know the pandemic went on in several different phases beyond that, but back in 2021, I for one, I had everything paid off. I wasn't in debt. Um, so I always traveled, always went on vacations. I was always kind of well traveled, either traveling all around the United States or outside international, but just really going on normal vacations. So I've always wanted to do like long stays. I'm giving you a long answer. I apologize. but I've always wanted to do a long stays, like international, like living abroad. Maybe you stay for 3 months and you like it, you stay longer, type of thing, to kind of really kind of take in the culture and learning how it is to live in a different country. But with Thailand, I've always wanted to do it back in 2021, but Thailand wasn't even on my radar. That's what's kind of funny with Thailand. It wasn't on my radar. I wasn't thinking about Thailand at the time. And the actual country I was kind of thinking of was the Philippines, because I've been to the Philippines there several times, but I never did a long stay there. Uh, just because I was more familiar with it. My first choice was the Philippines, but since it was the near the end of the pandemic, Thailand was the only country you could actually travel to. That was the only country open for international travel. So I was so wanted to go somewhere that maybe the pandemic caused it or whatever. I so wanted to go somewhere that I Thailand was the only option. So I chose Thailand. They called it the sandbox program at the time, where you could only fly into Phuket. You could only fly into Phuket. You could only stay in Phuket at the time. So I flew into Phuket, Thailand. I lived there about a year, and I liked it. So then I ended up staying in Thailand. So kind of what I do is I after Phuket, I went home to visit family for at that time I went home for a year. Then I came back. When I came back, I went to Hua Hin, was in Hua Hin almost a year and a half. Then we're up in Surin. So I do go back and forth between the United States and Thailand, because that's important to me. I mean, some people come out here to Thailand and they never leave, but family is still important to me. So I want to go back to the States. And usually I go back like in June, July, August for like 3, 4 months, to hang out with my sister, my mom, brother-in-law. Then once it starts to get kind of cold there, then I come back to Thailand. I'm just doing some updates on the site. But also, since I did live in Los Angeles for how long I lived in Los Angeles, maybe 18 years, 15 years, 18, maybe 18 years, something like that. Uh, so I did learn a lot in Los Angeles. Was Los Angeles has a huge demographic, meaning like, they got Thai town, Chinatown, uh, Philippine town. They got like every nationality there, plus the foods there. So I was exposed to it a little bit, but at least being in the States. Plus, I had a lot of friends that was either Thai, Philippine, Chinese, Korean. Um, so I had a little bit more exposure than most people. Okay. Okay. Do I do anything else other than SEO and YouTube for money? Um, yes, I do. Just long story short. Uh, like SEO, I used to work for other people. But currently, right now, I only do SEO on my own stuff. But SEO is a long-term strategy. It takes a while to get ranking. Depends upon who your competition is. So, like YouTube, like, quite honestly, right now, YouTube don't pay that much. So, yes, I make money from YouTube, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to live on my YouTube salary. Let me put it that way. I wouldn't even be able to live 1 week, maybe not even one day. But basically, what I do, I've been doing this stuff a long time. So I manage a few sites, what I do SEO for, and I manage it. Sometimes I manage their chatbot, membership sites. So I can pretty much do a lot of stuff, like building memberships, managing memberships, doing copywriting, That kind of, for me, that all stems from SEO. Um, just because when you it really doesn't matter if your website ranks on Google. You type it, you type in a website and it ranks on the first page. Maybe it's the first three clicks, but if someone clicks on your site, but your site's confusing and they don't stay on your site, well, um, it, you need to improve your site. So for me, that falters under SEO, like copywriting, um, learning like how to keep people engaged, on a website. Um, so everything falters under SEO. For me, with SEO, you have to have a strong business background. And back in the past, I worked in entertainment, but at the same time, me working in entertainment, I didn't really work. I owned a company through World Group Securities. That's where I started getting way more into business growth, account management. So I owned a company there. Then, when the kind of past business relationships started to kind of fail, we started not getting an agreement to things. Then I moved on from there. And where did I go from there? Then, since I had such a huge business background, not just business, not like going to college and learning business, but actually running a business, growing a business, actually recruiting people and hiring people and building teams, and all the drama that becomes all through that. Sometimes for me, if I go out and get a stereotypical job, it can be difficult because you're coming at it as a business owner. Um, and lots of times with jobs, they just want you to do what you say. I mean, they just do what I tell you to do, Chad. I don't want you to come in here and make things better. Uh, so I do have a lot of different income streams, or you can say passive income, residual income. Just like if you have a membership, and I'm talking outside of YouTube. I'm not talking YouTube memberships. And lots of times, once you kind of get that rolling, and once you kind of get that going, and people can find that company pretty easy online, then it's just, it's kind of it's kind of like what I want to say, it's kind of like a well-oiled wheel. You don't have to, you just maintain it a little bit, and as I'm maintaining that, I start floating over to YouTube. And this is something I'd done like 10 or 15 years ago, but I kind of let things kind of die because I got too busy working for agencies and stuff like that. So my personal stuff is severely neglected. Um, and you can see that on YouTube. If you actually go back to YouTube and you look at the history of my channel, I mean, you'll see, I think I started a channel back in 2014, posted one video, and that's it. Then I think I came back like a couple years later, posted like 30 videos, and that was it. Then I did that at several stages. Then what happened? Now, this was a weird experience. I know you didn't ask. I'm giving you a long-winded answer. Um, I think I came back to YouTube back in 2021. I did it for a few months, and I got busy doing other things, and I stopped. Then I came back. I've been on YouTube now consistently 2 years since January. So this is 2025. I think I came back in 2023 on YouTube. And it was one of those questions on manifesting. At that time I was in Thailand. I came home. I was at home visiting family, and I wanted to kind of rebrand myself, really focus on not other people's companies, but my own. But I really had no clue what I wanted to do. I mean, I had some clue. I was making money, but I didn't really know what I wanted to focus on. So what I did was, I've done this several times. Like, you ask the universe, what you want to say, God, the universe, the creator of the universe. You ask the universe a question, and I waited for the answer. And the question was this. I was like, I basically was like, what should I focus on? What should I put my attention to? And be very specific. I mean, make sure this is what you do when you talk to the universal God. Be very specific. When you answer me, make sure it's an answer that I'm going to be aware of. Okay. Maybe a stronger intuition, a stronger gut feeling. But I do this kind of like the Navigato technique. I do it right before sleep. So I'm kind of repeating it in my mind until I kind of drift off to sleep. And for me, it works when you really let it go. Like maybe you wake up the next day and you're kind of looking for the answer. When you're looking for something, it never shows itself. Okay. It kind of stays away from you. When you finally just kind of forget about it, you forget like, oh, I asked the universe this question. When you finally forget, that's when the answer comes. And I don't know how long it was. It was like a couple days passed after I did this. And it was such a weird feeling to me. It was so strong. And it was such one of those intuition feelings, or that small little voice was saying, oh, get back on YouTube. Get back building YouTube. And sorry about that. Now this is work. This is like a chat bot for my other website. Um, but the feeling was so real. The intuition was so real. The voice was so loud. And to get back on YouTube. And you have to understand, I was not thinking about YouTube at all. It wasn't even in my thoughts. If I wrote down the top 10 things I wanted to do, it wouldn't even be on there. If I wrote down the top 50 things I wanted to do, YouTube wouldn't have made the list. So it was the farthest from my thoughts, but the intuition feeling was so flipping big. And that's what kept me going with YouTube. And when I wanted to quit YouTube, or when I wanted to be like, it's too much effort, I would always remember that intuitive feeling I had, and that's what kind of keeps me on YouTube. That's what keeps me in the game, keeps me consistent with YouTube, no matter if I make money at it, don't make money at it. Oh yeah, you said something very powerful there. Like when you said, I just looked at my journal and realized writing is who I am. I'll tell you a story here in a second. I used to do a lot of mentoring with Russell Brunson. I don't know if you know who he is. He's the owner of ClickFunnels, and and he's the one that does a lot of copywriting funnels and shooting people through like a sales funnel, and how to talk to people more, not in a salesy way, but more an emotional way. But anyway, he said with anything, if you're writing, you want to write blogs, you you do videos, no matter what you do. Okay, he gave videos for example. He always said that, especially in the beginning, when you do videos, you're really making videos for yourself. Yes, you're making videos for other people. Yes, you're making videos to help other people, but the reality is you're making videos for yourself. Or the reality is you're writing for yourself. And what I mean by that is, you in my circumstance, I'm making videos for myself. And what I mean is through that process, you're going to find your own voice. You're going to find who you are. You're going to find what your brand's all about. You're going to find like a manifesto. And that's the biggest thing. You find your voice. Okay. And hopefully that makes sense. Like through your writing, you're kind of doing it for yourself in the beginning. Yes, other people are going to read it, but in the beginning, you're finding your own voice. You're finding what you stand for. You're finding what your brand stands for. And that's where it develops. And I thought that was great advice through Russell. Um, Now, if you're a writer and that's what you want to do, now this is years and years ago, and this could even be, I'm getting older. It could be like 20 years ago now, at least 15 years ago. And I forget her name. I went to a seminar and she was one of the speakers there, but she was a really, really famous writer. She was a really famous blogger at the time. And this is when blogging was kind of really popular, but she was crazy. Crazy famous with it at the time. And she was doing a live lecture. And what she said was, is that when we write, most people write the wrong way. What you learned about writing in high school or college, writing thesis papers, you're really writing the wrong way. Because what she says, like when you write, you have to look at it this way. When you write something and people read your stuff, you're building credibility with the people. People will like you based on your writing. You're building credibility with people, and you're building rapport with people without you knowing it. And what she said, what kind of struck with me, I even remember it now, is she's like, always write how you talk, always write how your personality is because when people meet you in person, okay, if I do videos how I talk and how my mannerisms are, if I kind of write how I talk, well, when they meet me in person, they're like, "Oh, that's Chad." So that actual rapport gets stronger because you already have rapport with them without you knowing it. They're keeping up with you. They're reading your stuff or listening to your stuff. But she said the opposite is true too, meaning that if you write totally outside your personality, and when people meet you, but you're a totally different person, you've actually lost rapport with them. Does that make sense? And I always walked away with this, and I always remember this. Like I know I went last year, but it's actually been at least 15 years since I've heard her speak. But it was coming from a famous writer, a famous blogger, and it made total sense to me. Is like we're constantly building rapport, but people want the real you, the authentic you, and that's like a nibbit I can kind of give you. Yeah, exactly. You write who you are. I mean, you putting your personality into it. I remember uh, now going through it when I graduate college. Especially being in IT and computers, people can say, "Oh, you're smart. You understand all this." But when I was going through school, when I was going through college, especially when we were talking about English and writing, I mean, that was probably my least subject is English and writing. And now I can write pretty good, but back then it was pretty much horrible. Like in flipping high school, I got D's in English. Okay, when I went to college, I had to take English 3 times. I failed it each time I, because in college I actually wrote how I talk, and that's not very grammar. It doesn't follow no grammar or anything. So and even in a college level, that when you would write thesis papers, like you'd always have a class that your whole grade would be based on one paper. Or like your one paper was like 60% of your grade. And my first 2 3 years of college were rough, and it was rough because I pretty much sucked in English. And um and now I'm kind of good with it, but I can remember when I wrote my thesis paper, I would get an F in a thesis paper, or I would get a D on it, but then I would end up getting a D in the class because that was the only assignment, or that thesis paper was like 60%, 70% of my grade. Then my parents were like going crazy, like, why are you getting like bad grades? but But once I got good with it and you start writing, you write like an attorney or you write like a doctor, or you write like you have your PhD, but then you kind of do this kind of work, either blogging, doing videos, but it works the opposite. If I talk like an attorney, if I talk like a doctor, if I talk very politically correct, yeah, there's a certain amount of people that will follow me, but it's only in that realm. Um, but at the same time, I'm losing rapport with them because that's not who I am. Think about it this way: like if I write a paper and I sound like an attorney or a doctor, then when you meet me, I'm just like goofy Chad. I've actually lost rapport with them because I'm not congruent with the same person in my writing versus who I really am in real life. Well, yeah, like in school, you write a persona to pass the class. That's 100%. Now college is a whole different level. Now college, the because the college, like if you go on for your bachelor's or master's or PhD, it's at that more collegiate, if I could say that word, level, or that professional level. Um, it took me a while to get you. It took me almost 2 3 years to get good with it. Once I kind of mastered the writing, how they wanted me to write, how they wanted it to sound, how the grammar was, and stuff like that, I could do it. Then I started getting like all A's and B's in my classes because I started getting good with research and good with writing. Um, but then when it flipped over again, when you flip over and you actually go into business where you're communicating and talking, it it's almost like I have to revert backwards to who I was in high school. That's kind of the oxymoron in a little bit. Like I have to go back to um or even in marketing. Let's talk about marketing and SEO, for example. Uh Most people, almost all people, and this has nothing to do with how smart someone is, all people read at a third grade level because it's simple. Even in sales, okay, you go to websites. That's why when people have really huge brands, when you go to the websites, it's all simple. It's easy to understand. They're not using complicated words. That's what sells. Is the is just being crazy simple with your words, crazy simple with explaining things, especially like marketing, copywriting, SEO. The more simple you are, the better it works because most people, they want simplicity. They don't want to read something. I had a client one time. She was a doctor. She was a dentist, and she had a blog, and I had to go in and kind of revamp her blogs for her. But she wrote like a doctor. So I would have the same conversation with her, like, well, who is your audience? Is your audience other doctors, or is your audience just normal people like me? That's not a doctor. You know what I mean? And she's like, well, normal people like you. And I said, well, then you shouldn't write like a doctor. And it was a hard concept for her to kind of get over because you want to sound smart, you want to sound like, oh, the sentence too small, this isn't grammatically correct, but it sounds like, but it actually sounds like somebody writing it or how somebody really talks. Like we don't talk grammatically correct. That's what you have to walk away with. I mean, we talk with slang, we talk with, it's I'm not talking like I'm writing a thesis paper or I'm reading one to you. Well, again, like as a writer, you can use big words. It just depends on it depends upon like what you're writing, what is it about. Are you writing stories, or are you doing research and writing? Are you doing education? I'm not saying you can't use big words, but you just you kind of have to define who your audience is. Who like who's reading your stuff? Who's your audience? Now, if your audience is somebody that they know those big words, what I mean, they know that language, then you would want to stay that way. Uh, if your audience is kind of the opposite, maybe you throw it in once in a while, but it's not going to be all big words that people don't know what you're talking about. You know what I mean? Or they have to your brain drifts off like, oh, what does that word mean? I mean, you get what I'm saying. So you really kind of have to like think, well, who your audience is. And in the beginning, like what we talked about before, maybe you don't know, and that's okay. You just write anyway because you're going to learn the process along the way. You're going to learn who your audience is. You're going to learn kind of like what they want, and and you might adjust your writing along the way because at the same time you're finding who you are. You're finding your voice. Then it's and sometimes even for me with my content, even on YouTube, for example, uh, I have videos where I take a whole week and I edit the video. Then I have videos like I'm doing Sunday coffee talks where it's just almost me sitting down like this doing it live. It's a one take wonder. I'm drinking coffee and I'm just talking. Um, then I do videos where it's more. I don't run off a script. So when I say scripted, it's scripted in my head. I just know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm not reading off a script. Then I do a series of videos where maybe it's just me taking a walk. But I kind of got multiple things kind of going on, or multiple editing styles going on, to kind of like go after different groups of people. But at the same time, I'm still being me in the video. That's why I kind of like this style a little bit, because almost like a live style or a one take wonder style video, because it really shows who I am. Really shows kind of my personality, or I'm more relaxed. When I take a video, and maybe I filmed a 20-minute video and I shrunk it down to 8 minutes, and I got mini cuts in there. I'm cutting every 1 second to 2 seconds, and it's all over the place. Even though it's me, but in those types of videos where the editing is so great, you kind of lose that sense of self a little bit. You lose that sense of my personality in the video. That's why even for my content, I'm doing multiple things inside my content. One, YouTube likes it when you look at YouTube monetization policies, because that YouTube don't want you to do the same thing over and over and over. Plus, you know, you kind of, plus I'm also experimenting too, kind of what I like, what I want to do, what I'm in the mood to do. At the same time, I'm learning my voice. Uh, and I was looking at your comment there. Um, and even for me, like I'm starting to, I did this like end of like last week and this week. I'm kind of rebranding my YouTube channel. This is good for you. When I say, like, when you're doing something, you're learning your voice, you're learning like what you want to do. How in the beginning you can't see everything. It's like driving a car at nighttime. You only can see so far in front of you. Period. Okay. That's why it's good. You just have to start. That's why I told you, if you want to write, just start, because nothing's going to you're not going to know everything, and everything's not going to be shown to you until you start moving. And for example, for my YouTube channel, I really want to know kind of how the YouTube channel is transforming. What was the brand? What was my manifesto? What does my channel stand for? And about a couple weeks ago, I started noticing, I was listening to when I do edited videos, I started noticing that I was saying something over and over and over again in my videos. I would always say, live life on your terms. I would say that in almost every video. Live life on your terms. Manifesting, it's not about you doing what you want to do. It's on your terms. So I'd always say, live life on your terms. And that kind of turned around to almost a manifesto. And that turned around to the brand. And that turned around to, yeah, it's almost like a slogan. Like my channel's like wealth, health, and prosperity. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about manifesting, but like a slogan is like live life on your terms. And so I like, now this is what I'm working on. I'm working on that slogan, kind of rebranding a little bit. But I listen, I only came up with that slogan actually just doing videos. And sooner or later, when I'm doing videos and doing video after video after video after video for like 2 years, a year and a half, I started noticing I was saying that slogan. So that's what I mean. Like when you write, when you do videos, you're doing it for yourself, because you're trying to figure out your own voice. And when we first start off in the beginning, we can be intimidated because we look at competition. We look at somebody that's 20 steps ahead of us. We look at their website, and their website's awesome. Maybe we look at a YouTube channel that have 1 million subscribers. Maybe, we look at their social media, and they got, tons of people following them. We always look at the end result with somebody, but we never look at where they started. You get me on that? Like, because this is why I know I've been doing this stuff for a long time. I've done it for myself, and I do it for other people. I used to work for big brands. Um, and I would work for them like right before where they would go viral, right before they took off, and I would see what they were doing, why they took off. Even though it wasn't for my brand, it wasn't for my company, but I see it. And you just have to start and get going, because you're not going to know. it's not going to be shown to you until you actually start and get going and going through the process. And things will be shown to you. And as even for me, I'm constantly going through kind of refining my social media, refining my websites, refining YouTube, for example. But every time I go through and refine it, it gets a little bit better, then 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 a little bit better. Then at some point you're hit a point where it gets so good that boom, that's when you flip and take off. But people don't know you from the beginning where you started off. They didn't know you for like 2 3 years. You're just constantly refining it, but you're constantly just making content. You're constantly writing. You're constantly doing videos, or you being a writer. You're just doing it. You're just in the game, and you're learning along the way. And sooner or later, something's going to click. Sooner or later, you're going to know, like, this is the route I really want to go. But you only get there by just doing it. Oh wow, we've been going on for like an hour and a half. Well, but all these are great questions, uh, because I did, but because like for me, from my background, that's why it's wealth, health, and prosperity. Because I've been and I haven't talked about myself for a long, long time, like the history. Like I first started off, I was a professional athlete. I competed professionally in martial arts. Then I went to college. Beginning of my college career, I competed with the martial arts. After college, I took a job, worked there for a year. I moved to California. When I moved to California, I went into business. So now, like I basically like I'm a professional athlete. So everything I learned from being a professional athlete, I apply to a business mindset, and and yeah, I mean that's kind of the core of my background. Um, so lots of times, it's for me, it's not just having manifesting knowledge or law of attraction knowledge or law of assumption knowledge. It's how to grow a business, how to grow a brand, how to grow a company. That's what I do. Mm. What, you hungry? What you want to eat? You want noodle? Mm. Yeah, we can go to noodle. Yeah. No, I can finish because I've been going for like 90 minutes. But hey, Rhythm. I mean, if you're still there, I'm gonna have to go. I've been going about an hour and a half, and Aang's like peeking in there, and she's hungry for lunch now. She wants some noodles, so we're gonna go grab some noodles, go grab some eat. But it was nice chatting. I mean, thanks for all the comments. I mean, this was a great conversation. So we talked about a lot of stuff. But but all of you out there, you're watching, you watch this later on. This will be a public. But blessings to you. Hang in there. If you're doing it, if you stayed up with this topic, I mean, even if you're trying to manifest, even if you're in you want a company yourself, a brand yourself, a business yourself, the best advice is you got to just start. That's the bottom line. That's what any successful person is going to tell you. Just get started. Start now. Start today, not tomorrow, not next week, not next month, today. And once you start, things will be shown to you. It's the same thing with manifesting. Once you believe who you are, you're your new identity. What you believe to be true for you will happen to you. It will come to you. So it's the same thing we're manifesting. You just have to start. Once you start behaving the way you should behave, your world will change 100%. But anyway, let me put this down so I can turn everything off. Then, see, that's my build funnels. Put this right there. Then I'll see everybody later. Remember, live life on your terms. That's going to be the new brand for the channel, or at least the slogan. It's on your terms, baby. And what I mean by that is it's unapologetically on your terms. You don't have to apologize for who you are. That's what you have to understand and walk away with. But anyway, blessings to you, and I'll see you in the next live stream or video. Then I just have to learn where the button is so I can end this stream. Okay, see ya.